Good morning, this is Jeff with Sewer Tech Northwest. Today we are at property address 130 Maple Boulevard here in Wood Village. We are located at the front right corner of the house. Line exits out the front of the home, but near the corner. Dropping into a 4-inch ABS clean out as our point of access. We're gonna start out by advancing the camera out towards the street, and then we will run the camera backwards to the extent that we can here, see if anything's going on underneath the floor. And we'll introduce some water to the line here in just a moment once we get going down the line. Now, right now my camera is upside down. All right. And immediately upon access, transitioning here over to cast iron. And we'll get a nicer shot of the flow line. Okay, now we are swapped to clay pipe. It's an uncommon. It's actually, I mean, as far as clay pipe goes, I actually tend to like this stuff. It's a rare type of clay. It's 4-inch diameter. Now we're into concrete. The nice part about it is that instead of, generally speaking anyway, instead of having grouted pipe joints, it usually has rubber ferncoes. And clay pipe, you can see now we're in concrete. You can see the wear and tear that concrete undergoes. Clay does not have that problem. As long as nothing shocks it, hits it, or cracks it, and or the joints stay closed off, the pipe material itself has an almost infinite lifespan. It does not wear out. All right, now we're transitioning here to 3034 PVC. We do have an offset there. It's offset on the top of the pipe, so you don't have an obstruction directly in the flow line. Now we're into a bellied area here. Oop, yep, and another offset. So it's entirely possible that could be related to what caused the problem. I've got two pretty settled pieces of pipe there. This joint also got affected by that. Fortunately, when one part of the line settles, it often affects other ends of it. All right, and there's our main there at about 40 feet out. Short little line. Now, it's a bummer there that amazingly, the old original pipe is the stuff that just stayed put. The new pipe is the stuff that's settled. As they always say, they don't build them like they used to. Anyway, we're going to let the line drain out here for a moment. I am going to do some locating here. All right, located the camera head out in the roadway there. So you'll see out there at the curb, there is a curb stamp. As you notice, as we're traveling along here, if I recall off the top of my head, the 3034 does not run dead straight. It looked like it made a jog. So where the locate comes in there at the main does not line up perfectly with that curb stamp. Just be aware of that. It's an incredibly shallow sewer line. That is a plus and a minus. That makes the line very, very easy to get to. However, it also makes the line, it provides a lot less room to grade the sewer line. Although this line would appear here, from what I can tell, I mean, it comes out at a pretty, I mean, relative to the depth of the main, it comes out at a fairly deep depth, considering the main out there is about 2 foot 10 inches to 3 feet deep. Anyway, you've got a partial separation here, or slip. You have exposed fernco. That joint there is a little harder to tell. Right now my camera's kind of upside down. The top of the pipe right now is kind of at the bottom right-hand corner of the screen. You've got some gunk in the pipe joint there. It could be sewer related. Some of that looks like paper products. It doesn't immediately look like dirt. But if you were to go dig this line up in the road, I would not be leaving any bit of it behind. I would be taking any repairs all the way up to at least this joint right here to ensure everything stays sealed off, because if that joint is exposed to the ground to some extent, what you can end up with is progressive settling. The joint can cause hydro erosion. Joints will start sucking dirt through them and erode the support out from underneath the sewer line, which is very possibly what has happened back behind the camera here. And if it makes it easier for viewing pleasure, my auto-leveling camera heads right now those cameras are in the shop. Well, I'll edit the video, and I'll send another version of the video with it 180 degrees flipped over. So you'll see some of the writing upside down on the screen, but the camera will be moving just in a flipped over version of that. Anyway, I wish I had been able to get in here before the line was drain cleaned to see exactly where the blocking was happening at. That's the hard part once you clean a line, is you remove a lot of the debris evidence, which is the stuff I like to see. That way it's easier to tell where the blockage originated from. So this offset here, I mean, right now we're in water that submerges the camera head, so you've got about 1.5 inches worth of standing water there at its worst point. That joint does have an offset. You've got a hard obstruction. And in the combination, on its own, the belly, it's plastic pipe, it's smooth. Debris generally breaks loose relatively easy in smoother pipe. I've cambered tens of thousands of sewer lines. But when you get a belly in combination with a hard obstruction, what you're getting here is the standing water will slow things down as it shoots through the line, and then when it finally clears the belly, it's running into a almost 1-inch tall lip. So after all that debris has lost velocity, right as it hopes to clear the belly, it runs into that darn thing right there. So it's hard to say, because the camera is underwater there, if that joint is exposed to the ground. It's entirely possible it is. Sometimes those joints can settle and the fern coat can keep things sealed off. But this piece here also settled significantly. I mean, right here, you've lost dang near 2 inches of diameter, at least, or the height of the line. That's almost halfway down there. So that's a significant or severe offset joint. By and large, most things shooting through the line, folded toilet paper wise, as long as you're not balling things up and flushing humongous wads of things down the line, most things will clear that. I'm a bit concerned though with the amount of settling that's taking place here, if the joints are actually closed off to the ground, and if you're going to get this thing just progressively shifting more and more and more over time. So I'm going to mark this spot here too. All right, 2 foot 3 inches deep here, and that whoever put that curb stamp in place there it's way off. The line's crossing the curb. As you face the house from the street, that's how I describe things in general. You're about 2.5, 3 feet to the right of that marker there, where the line actually crosses the street curb. Not sure why I got placed there. I'm glad I got over this the first time. This thing's giving me some trouble now. Alright, and I put an X marking right where this spot is. I'm mapping the whole thing out. If you crack the road open there, again, it's not a scenario where I would stop shy. That's my 2 cents on it. And I would certainly get a hold of the city and find out. Off the top of my head, Gresham takes responsibility from right-of-way out. Wood Village, I'm not 100% certain on. That's one worth contacting the city over. So this spot right here where we're located is about 2 feet from the street curb. This is in the, right at the very front of the little gravel driveway. That's where all that PVC starts. That's where all of your settling issues are. There looks like a little piece of excess pipe grout. Another joint there. Also looks like a little bit of an excess piece of grout there in the flow line. That joint there's got just a little bit of darkness to it. That joint may be exposed to the ground just a little bit. It's hard to say. I like to look for secondary signs when I have joints that are kind of somewhat suspect, like earthworms crawling around, obvious dirt clods sticking through, groundwater seeping through, dripping, you know, stuff like that. End of the clay pipe there got a little bit dinged up, but that joint there, for the most part, there's a little bit of something sticking through at the top of the pipe, which right now is at the bottom right-hand corner of the screen. Being that the machine recently just went through this line here to clean it, it's really hard to know if that joint had something like roots going through it at one point. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to mark this joint with a T marking. Right now this is not affecting functionality. I don't know what it looked like prior to cleaning. There is just the ever so slightest little bit of stuff sticking out of that joint there at the top of the pipe. It could also be the face of the joint edge too, that's just kind of white in color. But from just a pure flow standpoint, that joint there is not affecting functionality. And the closer and closer I get to that, I actually think what I'm looking at there, originally it looked like there may have been a little bit of nubbins hanging down, but I actually think that's just the face of the joint there. It's just got an extra white color to it. That almost looked like some root nubbins with the tiny scraps of toilet paper stuck to it at first glance. So that's why anytime you have a line that's just clean, ideally we look at this thing when the action's happening so we can get a really clear picture of where the issues are. You know, I'm looking at a piece of rotted out pipe out here, which can absolutely cause a backup very easily when all your water escapes the sewer line like that. And the size of that hole, most of your water would be escaping the line. Once that water disappears, there's no more water to carry the debris down line. And it'll just start piling up right there, right at the hole. Usually the debris will get just barely past the hole and it'll stop. And then at the bottom left-hand corner of the screen, also top of the line, there's a little bit of something sticking down there. Again, hard to tell if it's roots right now. But all your old pipe here is graded well. You don't have any issues that way. All your settling issues, offsets, bellies, things like that occur in the new updated pipe. So right now we are going backwards into the home here. We'll see what we see. All right, so where we are, we went essentially, I think, straight back here. From the sounds of it, there is a bathroom on the far left side of the house. Trying to see if I can figure out where that pipe lies in. It may very well be right here. Yeah, and unfortunately, with the way that this is configured, I was looking for, sometimes I get lucky and you have the Y connection set up just perfectly to where I can put a string on my camera head and bend it around a turn. That's not one of those ones my camera's going to jump up through, unfortunately. So to see that branch there on the far left side of the house, it's going to likely be a situation that requires pulling the toilet to get down that branch of pipe. So there's a little bit of wear and tear in the flow line, but nothing crazy. Nothing even close to resemble this piece of pipe outside here. So a little bit of an offset going backwards there. It's very minor, and we're going against the flow right now, so that's debris is not going to be running into that lip. And just a teeny little one right here. Again, very minor. Nothing like what you have out further in the road there. Alright, so I just put another marking there at around 12, 13 feet. Just to show the entire line where it's at. And then at the clean out, I didn't put a marking, but you can eyeball. This thing runs almost dead straight the entire way. Anyway, where all of your settling issues come into play, and there is a little chunk of cast iron right here in the line, likely from a past update or something like that, where a piece of it chipped off and got down the line there. It's small, it's sitting flat, it's pretty unlikely that's going to lead to problems there. Anyway, where your settling issues right now, the stuff that I can clearly see causing flow problems and obstructions is in the 3034, the green PVC there, which starts in the right-of-way and extends into the road, into the middle of the street there. All the old pipe, it is stuff that I would certainly re-scope at about 9 months to a year. That's just to check to make sure that when the drain cleaning machine went through the line, it didn't eliminate any other things we can't see here. I'm not seeing obvious signs of that, but you never know. Jetters can remove everything.